So Sandy's the only extra?
Sandy, Brian, and Reg.
Okay.
All right, and you're good to go.
Good afternoon. The time is 5:35 PM. We are going to start with a workshop on short-term rentals. I'm going to read off to the manager.
Okay, that's quick. All right. In March of last year, town council adopted the long-awaited short-term rental ordinance. And at that point, it was decided that we take from then till the end of the calendar year to allow folks to register and get inspected, and permitted, and collect as many in good faith as we could without, going and policing and doing that sort of thing, which we really still don't intend to do. But in that form, it was decided that we review in January what data we've collected and what feedback we have come up with for recommendations or to get council input based on our experience to see if there's anywhere where we or the council wants to look for amendments or improvements or changes to the ordinance. So, Tom, do you want to pop up here and join me? If you don't mind. So far from January to present day, it looks as though we have that. I see a familiar face. It looks as though we have existing in town 59 listings spread over 50 properties. At this point, there are 14 registered short-term rental properties, and there are 2 pending at the moment. Tom, can I see your paper there? Nope, that's okay. So there are 2 that are currently going through the process. And then, of course, of that total, there's several places that have multiple units in them. So that takes away from listing total and affects property total. And then there are a couple more listings on there that we do not qualify in this list because they're actually hotels, and those fall under different rules. So Tom and I have gone over what we've been considering for things to recommend to the council for consideration in future amendments. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Would you prefer I go through them individually for feedback, or you want me to bang through all 5 in a row and then
All the councilors fine with him going through all 5.
Okay. So there's a bit of confusion on how it is interpreted for registering a property that has multiple units in it. So we feel there should be further clarification in the ordinance regarding, one registration per property, or, one registration per unit or per listing. So, for say, if one property has 3 individual units in it that are short-term rentals, it would be 3 individual registrations. So there's just there's some confusion around that we'd like to get some feedback on, and if you want to seek further clarification on that. We feel that we could fairly easily identify the locations, given the, if there continues to be, a lack of participation, we could locate the properties and send, certified mail to the property owners in whatever contact information we have for their, basically for their tax bills in our systems, and request that they register and comply with the inspections. An initial round, depending on what were to happen with the possible amendments. And then we would probably do that annually moving forward, like once a year. And then in that messaging, we would, give a pretty fair window of, 3 months, 6 months, whatever the council feels is adequate for, a good chunk of time to get inspected and registered and make sure that it meets all of those, life safety and code requirements that are the, heart and soul of the ordinance to begin with. The next is actually a tidbit that I just recently remembered from a panel I participated in last year. Came from the way that a small town with similar demographics, of course, a much different budget based on local taxes and income in upstate New York, that required via the ordinance that their permit or registration number from the town be visible in their listing on the sites. So, that shows that they're, in line with the local rules and ordinances. And then it also makes it more efficient moving forward to, when we go through, when we have to research these things, to identify which ones need more research or communication to let them know. Maybe they don't know there's an ordinance. So there's a recommendation. This one was actually one of the very first feedback, pieces of feedback or recommendations we got from Councilor Runyon as she was joining the board. It is possible to include a fine or penalty for, if there is a situation where law enforcement, fire, EMS, that sort of thing is called to a property for an issue, and that property is found to be operating as an unregistered short-term rental, that there could be a fine larger than the registration fee. And, today I was speaking with the attorney about that, and there would have to be some clarity on, at what point does, like, when is that line crossed? Like what defines the ability? Like, have they been communicated with? Have they, we would have to do some more digging on that. And then the last one is, likely to be a theme as we go through our very obsolete code book with a lot of ordinances. And that is the inclusion of civil penalty or violation, which is now common practice throughout many towns and municipalities. you know, that is a method for the towns to have the teeth in their code enforcement and ordinances that that, you know, towns like ours who haven't been updated in many years do not have. You know, as we know, without any sort of you know, we generally don't have a way, a successful way to get through, you know, a violation, you know, a fine, you know, if we go through, you know, DA or anything like that, because they're pretty low level things. And then, you know, ordinances and codes are great when people follow along. But then as they recur and get worse, it becomes harder for, you know, the local government to actually resolve the issue when there's no mention in the ordinance for you know, a method to proceed through those violation actions. So that's a very roundabout way of saying that, but those are our few recommendations, and that is the extent of the update from our administrative team.
Tom, anything from you before I go to the council?
No, pretty much. On the two that we've got outstanding, that would be a total of 4 units. That's why one of them is outstanding. It came in with $100 fee. It came in with $100 fee, and actually, in my interpretation, it should have been 300. So I just wrote back to them and explained that to them, that my interpretation of this, and that's, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
I have just one question before I open up to the counselors. If I were to buy a piece of property today and decide that I wanted to open it up for short-term rental, how long from point A to point B does it take to get my certification with the life inspections from you, the certification from you and everything? How long does it take to complete the process to be certified? You just turned it off.
That can be as fast as they want it to be. I mean, it can be, I have done them in 2 weeks. Some of them is a month, counts on how soon they get back to me. They turn in their application. I go through it and make sure that everything looks good. That way, I do a drive-by to look at the facility we're talking about. And then I send back to them saying, okay, you're good to go. Let's set up a date to do your inspection. And I will need a copy of your insurance, because in our ordinance, it says that they will have insurance. And that the insurance company knows that it's a short-term rental, because that does make a difference. But I've had them that I've done this in 2 weeks. It just counts on how busy things are going.
Awesome. I'm gonna open up to the council before I give my opinion.
Yes,
go ahead.
Mr. Chairman. I have a couple questions, just made a couple notes. Manager was speaking. So first bullet point, clarification on properties with multiple short-term rental units. You have two, are you asking for whether to go one registration per property? Are you asking for us to weigh in on that, or individual registrations for each unit? Is that what you're asking?
If I can, I will read you what we have under licensing, section 125, 136. Licensing under B, A, fee. A non-refundable license fee equals $100 for each short-term rental unit. In my mind, because when you talk about short-term rental units and you go through, that's how many bedrooms are in that short-term rental. That's one unit. So if you have an apartment building that has 6 apartments in it, and you want to make 3 of them Airbnbs, which you can do, then to me, that's 3 units. That's 3 separate inspections. It's 3 separate, everything is So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with that.
That was my understanding when we first went through it.
That was my understanding as
Okay.
well. 'Cause each one needs inspection. They
Yep.
need your attention. They have to pass in order for them.
I mean, I haven't heard back from that gentleman that did send the one in, but it was around Christmas time, so things are just starting, people are just starting to get back.
Oh, so this was recently.
These are recent ones.
Okay.
These are ones I've got right now.
Anything else, Councilor Danforth?
Eh,
Sorry.
Okay, so on the third bullet, which the manager was trying to explain, he had talked to legal on that, fine if law enforcement, fire, EMS are called to a property and found it to be unregistered. I think that we could explore that as well. I would think that there would have to be maybe steps, maybe a warning given, and that you have 3 months to comply or 6 months to comply or something. So I'm open to discussing that a little bit more. Do what other.
I second that.
Anyone else? In regards to the 5 recommended changes, I like a blend of them all. I know me and you talked in your office, and I think listing the certification number does help narrow it down in the future for when we find those listings, because for context, me and Peter were in his office, and I said, well, what happens if I search Millinocket proper right now and see how many short-term rentals are in Millinocket? And he pulled it up, and it was 55 to 60. And of which we have 14 or 15 that are registered. So it would be a lot easier to go through that list if we can go into it and see the certification number and know who is and who isn't. So I'm really in favor of that one. The fine and penalty have been on board with that since you mentioned it in November. I think that's an interesting concept that we should explore. The certified mail, just out of curiosity, assuming we send out 50 today, how much would that cost approximately? If we're doing that once a year? Okay. And last, the updating the ordinance. So your recommendation is we go back and look at the ordinance one more time and make necessary changes based off the feedback we got over the last year.
Yeah, or if there's any, at the time there were discussions on, limiting, how many are allowed in what type of zone or what neighborhood, or, putting a cap on how many are allowed in town. And, there were a lot of, ideas in the air, and, we were kind of feeling that out throughout the year. But as you can see, the total has dwindled pretty far over the last few years. What used to be a couple hundred is now less than 100. So, we don't feel that there needs to be a cap. We don't feel that it needs to be necessarily, restrictive on, zones. Because there are fewer and fewer as we go. So, unless there are other thoughts or opinions from the council, these are our only ideas to consider if we're directed to, draft an amendment to bring back to special hearing.
I was going to announce it a little later, but councils already know that what they're going to be doing for roles. But if we do decide to do that, me, you, Tom, and Councilor Gould can sit down in the code book when we go to start the code book and ordinances and discuss further. Is there any other councilor comments before we end the workshop? Everyone all set with everything we discussed? Okay, perfect. Let us convene at some point within the next month or two, and we'll get together and come up with some ideas. All right, the time is 5:55. We are coming out of workshop and entering our regular town council meeting. We do have one public hearing. Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call?
Mayor Brackett,
Present.
Danforth,
Here.
Councilor Gould,
Here.
Councilor Mackin,
Excused.
thank you. Councilor McGowan. Here. Councilor Pelletier.
Here.
Councilor Briner.
Here.
Before we go to the Pledge of Allegiance, to end 2025, there was a tragic death of a community member in our area who was active. I would like to request a moment of silence for Kyle and his family. Thank you. Would everyone stand, please, and remove your caps for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adjustments to the agenda, Mr. Manager?
Just the minutes date change if,
Yes, there was updates to 11:24:25 minutes, excuse me, and order number 3 back up.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
I am seeking approval for the minutes for November 24th, 2025 and December 11th, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Councilor McGowan, seconded by Councilor Danforth. All those in favor? All right. The time is 5:57 PM. We are going to enter. Oh, sorry, my bad. We're gonna do our special presentation first. So Councilor Danforth, can I have you read Resolve number 1, 2026?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my pleasure. A resolution honoring Diana Furukawa for professional leadership and community impact in the town of Millinocket. Whereas Diana Furukawa has dedicated significant personal time, energy, and leadership to strengthening the Millinocket community through her work and commitment to collaboration, stewardship, and public benefit. And whereas through sustained commitment to building and cultivating lasting relationships, Diana established and strengthened meaningful partnerships with regional and mission-aligned organizations, including Thrive Penobscot, the Katahdin Collaborative, Friends of Katahdin Woods and Waters, the Outdoor Sports Institute, and others, supporting collaborative programs and initiatives benefiting the people of Millinocket. And whereas Diana provided steady leadership in guiding a comprehensive strategic planning process that evaluated existing conditions, clarified long-term goals, and established a realistic and responsible roadmap for future success, ensuring that decision-making remained thoughtful, sustainable, and aligned with the core community values. And whereas her leadership and professionalism enhanced confidence among funders, partners, stakeholders, and residents, contributing to stronger long-term sustainability and regional collaboration for the benefit of the town. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town council and council assembled on January 8th, 2026, does hereby recognize and honor Diana Furukawa for her outstanding dedication, leadership, and service to the Millinocket community, and expresses its sincere appreciation for her lasting contributions to the Millinocket and the Katahdin region. Second.
Motion made by Councilor Danforth, seconded by Councilor McGowan. Councilor comments? Go ahead and start, Councilor Danforth.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't pass this one up. So I met Diana when she first moved here. She was a young woman. She's still a young woman. Very accomplished. She's grown exponentially, as a leader, all to the benefit of your community. And as I just read, the Katahdin region, you have served. I appreciate you. I'm a better person for knowing you, and I really value our friendship. Thank you so much, Diana.
Councilor McGowan.
I didn't really know Diana until I got on the council 3 years ago, but in my dealings with her in this capacity, she's been nothing but professional, knowledgeable. I always enjoyed her quarterly report. She's very thorough. I think you did a phenomenal job in your work at the library, and I have a lot of respect for you. So thank you, and I wish you well.
Any other Councilor Pelletier?
Sure. I first met Diana, whom I am one friends with the Lock Memorial Library, and really comfortable with her style and work. Certainly gained my support from the library and the work.
Councilor Gould?
I just want to say thank you for all the strides that you've taken and what the library has become. And I know that it is due to you. So I just really want to thank you.
Sorry.
I don't know Diana, but thank you for all of your service to the town. We appreciate it.
So, I'm a very data-driven person. And it's very evident based off your reports to the town that you provide that since you came on with the library, that there has been continuous growth from day one. And to say that is impressive is a drastic understatement. Based on the position that we started in, and what you came into, I would say that you've done more than succeeded, and you were drastically undervalued, in my opinion. Anyone who serves in the public eye, I think, is drastically undervalued, but thank you for everything you've done. We've had several great conversations. And I've heard it from several people, and I firmly believe that you will be missed. Thank you. Going down to public comment, I see we have one on Zoom.
Hi, I'm Sandy Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. When I was growing up, which admittedly is a while ago, the library was thought of as a place to borrow books, period. The library in Millinocket does so much more for this town. That involves children. It involves the older people. It involves organizations. And I believe this is all due to Diana. And I do believe, first of all, she will be missed. But second of all, she's going to be very hard to replace. Thank you very much, Diana.
Any other public comments? Seeing none, before we go to a vote, Diana, was there anything you'd like to say, or? They got some big shoes to fill. Okay. Perfect. I'll go back to the council. All those in favor of resolve number 1, 2026? It's unanimous. Councilor Danforth, would you like to present it?
I know I gave one to Jane, here, but I have for the town, sure I want to get involved, but library too, that. How did this picture come about? I made it. Okay.
That's beautiful.
Sure. Sure.
Fabulous. And then.
Downstairs.
Mm-hmm. And then.
We'll take just a minute before we continue.
Did she sign that? The picture, did she sign it? She signed it back. She. Yes, I can go.
Great. Moving on, there is no old business. I'll move on to the town manager's report, which says none, but I will still go to the manager just in case anything has come up.
Nope, those are once a month.
All right, fantastic. I love it.
Save you the time. Second meeting.
Thank you.
All right, now we're actually gonna go into public hearing. So the time is 6:05 PM. I will have Counselor Gould, could you read ordinance number 1, 2026, please?
Thank you, Chair. Ordinance 1, 2026, providing for an adoption of Chapter 51, disorderly property of the Code of the Town of Millinocket. Be it ordained by the Town Council of the Town of Millinocket that the attached disorderly property ordinance is hereby adopted as Chapter 51 of the Millinocket Code. It is further ordained that the town clerk make appropriate changes to incorporate this chapter into the Millinocket Code and distribute new pages to all persons known to have a copy of the code. It is further ordered that this ordinance take effect 30 days after enactment.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Gould, seconded by Counselor Danforth. So I do have a letter from our attorney that I'm going to read in just a minute. But before we begin, Brian, I'm sorry, I owe you an apology. I'm catching up from vacation and saw your email this morning about information regarding this ordinance. And this ordinance was done in collaboration between the manager, the CEO, and the East Millinocket Police Department. It was very thoroughly looked at by our attorney, and I am very happy with the decisions that they made on this ordinance. So I'm going to open immediately up to the town manager, the CEO, and Mr. Officer Fitzgerald before we go on to council comments. Did you want to give any background or?
Well, so there's been a desire and, I'll even say a demand from elected officials and many community members, over, that predates me many years, that the town of Millinocket, does not have a way to really have teeth in the ordinances. If people are all playing along and following the rules, and we, approach, an issue and either code enforcement or PD or fire safety, and everybody plays along, that's great. If in many ways, if they tell us to go pound sand, there's not a lot we can do. And when I explain that to people time and time again, in my experience, the response is, there has to be a way. So, after a few years now, we've been able to really dig in, and, as we know, the code enforcement office of town Millinocket has been, practically non-existent for decades. And in the last 3 years, we've really started to grow it and take it seriously and improve it, to bring it up to snuff with how towns and cities all across our country operate. And we've got a huge load of work to do, to really, we're not going to be done for a very long time. So, this is a first step in, in a way to modernize our code book through this one. An example is, any of the types of violations listed in this disorderly property draft. Right now, if code enforcement or PD show up, if we get, 1 complaint or 10 complaints from, people in the neighborhood, about an instance, the PD, the code enforcement, can tell them that there is an ordinance and they're in violation of it and ask them to stop. And it pretty much ends there. There's really not a lot of legal action that we have the ability to take at that point. So, there have been several in the past year that have been frequent flyers, we'll say, that we've had, dozens of phone calls about single properties, week after week after week for reoccurring things. And we were scratching our brains. What do we do? We did some research and we found that so many towns in the state of Maine and beyond have versions of this type of ordinance. Whether it be disorderly property, nuisance property, there are many names for it. And, we started reading through all of their versions and we found a way to adapt to our local needs and institute the same methods that are, commonly used to approach these things. So I know there's some scuttle out and around on local social media about, government overreach and whatnot, but you'll hear, I had grabbed that opinion from the attorney about, why that is not the case, that you'll read in a moment. And it's, it's not a policing thing. It's not driving around to see if we can hear, who's playing their music too loud. But if we have, multiple complaints over a certain amount of time, there is civil action that we would be able to take if this is passed after the second special hearing. So
I couldn't have said it better myself. I plan to talk to that point that I have received to date last week 6 calls and emails and text messages in regards to this particular ordinance. And some people, again, because social media is such a wonderful thing, are extremely misinformed on what's actually going on. And the government overreach has been a big topic of discussion, right? When in reality, when you need it and it's not there, we complain about it. But when we have it, it's underutilized, right? But it's there if you need it. So the point behind this is to give, as the manager said completely bluntly, it gives teeth to be able to fight those cases that we have to, especially those repeat offenders. One officer, one thing, right? It's not the end of the world. But those ones that continue to be a problem, this is really where that policy falls under. Officer Fitzgerald, you obviously had a huge extent in writing this. Is there anything you wanted to add in regards to the police department?
There is. You guys able to hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
We need video.
Yeah. Is there any chance you have video?
If you give me 1 second. Might be a little dark.
It's a little dark, but I can make, there we go.
There we go. So yes. So, first off, I echo a lot that you guys said, and I do, want to give credit to the town manager, Mr. Malcolm, and also the fire chief as well. So this did come about, kind of exactly how he explained, because he would call me on instances and say, we've got this complaint on this certain property. What are you guys doing about it? So obviously we follow the disorderly conduct law in the state of Maine. So everyone, seems to just think because of that law, they have their music up, we can arrest them, we can bring them to jail, and we're over and done with it. However, with the disorderly conduct warning, there's different sections within the statute, but the most common one we use is we get called to a residence for disorderly behavior, music, fighting, things of that nature. Typically, where we are not the ones witnessing this, we're called there, we have to give a warning. And, so we tell you, turn the music down for the night. We come back, you can be arrested and or charged. So they turn the music down. Everything's good. We have no problems that night. We go back 3 days later for the same behavior. Well, that disorderly conduct warning is now essentially null and void. If we were to charge them on something, their warning that we gave them 3 days ago, I can assure you that as soon as it went to the district attorney's office, that charge is going to be dismissed. So we feel a lot of the same frustrations because in the moment that night, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, the problem is fixed. But where this ordinance helps us is now we've gone to this particular property 3 times this week. The disorderly conduct warning, like I said, is kind of expired, but now it gives us options. We can warn them, we can follow the steps of this ordinance if this behavior continues, and it does give us some action outside of the court system, because as you guys all know, number one, the court system is overloaded, and number two, we're not, I don't want to completely discredit the court, but we're not getting a lot of help with the court system right now as far as us doing our jobs. And just for instance, I can tell you of a particular property that in 12 months we went there over 20 times for noise complaints. I think it was the 21st time where they didn't adhere to the warning of turning their music down for the night, where they were actually charged. But neighbors were then looking at us going, why are you not doing anything? Well, it's not that we weren't doing anything. We just, within the bounds of the disorderly conduct law, there was nothing we could do. Now, if we had this ordinance in place, it gives us more options. And as I had mentioned to the manager, and exactly what he said, we're not looking to go around and, this house has their music too loud, we're going to give them a warning for disorderly property, and we come back again. That's not what this is for. We're looking for this to be a tool in the toolbox. So if we have a certain property that we continuously deal with for the type of behavior that's listed in this ordinance, it gives us options, and it gives the town options of something that we can use. Obviously, there's always our discretion between the police department, the town manager, the code enforcement department. So I think that's the big thing here. And you're exactly right when people say, this is just the town's looking for more reasons to make money, is one thing I heard. And then the government overreach, we heard that one as well. And I just want it to be clear to people, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for tools to improve quality of life for people within the community. And our hope as a police department, obviously serving the entire region, is if Millinocket adopts this, we find some success in it. My hope is I then want to present it to the other 2 communities we serve, and hopefully we can kind of make it the same policy amongst the 3 towns, which I think would be a huge benefit. But as far as from where the police department is on this, I mean, that's really our stance is, we're looking for the tool in the toolbox to help us make life better for people and give us more options when we have this continuous complaints of behavior.
Thank you, Officer Fitzgerald. Mr. Malcolm, is there anything you want to speak to on this order? Or?
Tom Malcolm, Code Enforcement Officer. No, this, as Peter and Brad have both said, this came about from numerous calls. I mean, we get numerous calls on some properties. And, they talk about the music, that's one thing, but it's other things. People that have unhooked their electricity, I run generators all day long. There's a lot of variance in this whole thing. We have something for property maintenance if they're not doing something, but we really have nothing for noise. And like Brad said, I can send them there 25 times and like they'll quiet down, or we couldn't get the generator shut off no matter what we did. So this is just a way to try to make it easier for neighbors, because the neighbors are the ones that are complaining. We're getting it constantly from the people that live around these properties. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manager.
I just wanted to expand a little bit on some of the types of complaints that we get that would fall under this, right? There is a longstanding ordinance with the town of Millinocket that fireworks are not allowed. And, let's say a particular cannon that goes off every once in a while, maybe in a, backside of Little Italy, that, it happens pretty regularly. Yes, it's a cannon. And we, 5-10 phone calls maybe every time. And if the code enforcement officer or the police department go there, they can say, hey, just a reminder, you can't do that. And they say, oh, right, thank you. Or, now, if they have the complaint and see the evidence and are able to confirm that that is happening. And they are called to a particular property, you know, 2 times within 180 days. You know, that's a pretty big span. We are able to put those teeth in that everybody wants us to have. And I was on to something else there too, but I might have lost my train of thought.
I get where you're going with it. So
Yeah. Oh, and I was going to talk about the, you know, it also includes, you know, remediation process and how to, you know, resolve the issue and how you can, you know, the council has discretion on, you know, if it does go through civil court, if there is a judgment awarded on behalf of the town and, you know, the fines are a certain level and there's, you know, other issues with the thing, but they're with the issue with the property, but they're working through it. And we all know that, you know, there's so many ways that this can work out. You know, like Brad says, just a tool in the toolbox. If we need to use it, we can.
So from my experience, and I'm sure these five counselors have heard it plenty of times over the last quite few years, especially 2 particular times a year, especially with the fireworks, as you're suggesting. You both will hear it eventually. But yeah, this is an ongoing issue, and in the last 4 or 5 years that I've been helping with the town and being on the council, it has been a serious issue. So I am very much in support of this. I am going to read this letter from one of our attorneys before I go to the counselors. Peter, we have discussed the reasoning for enacting a disorderly property ordinance in Millinocket. This ordinance would be adopted and enacted pursuant to and consistent with municipal home rule powers as provided for Article 8 Part 2, Section 1 of the Constitution of the State of Maine, entitled 30 MRSA, subsection 3001. Both the Constitution and the statute allow the town council to establish ordinances which are for the benefit of the municipality and its residents. The town council has the right to establish ordinances under its home rule authority, and there is a rebutable presumption that any ordinance made under its home rule authority is valid so long as it does not frustrate any state law. In Millinocket proposed disorderly property ordinance, the town council states under legislative findings section that the town has a substantial and compelling interest in protecting the health, safety, property, and welfare of its citizens in the neighborhoods affected by chronic, unlawful, or nuisance activity. Many Maine communities around the state have adopted a disorderly property ordinance as a way to regulate events or conditions which would unreasonably distribute the community, the neighborhood, or ordinary individuals or normal sensitivities at or beyond the property line. This ordinance is not an attempt to regulate individual behaviors in their own home or on their property so long as the activity does not unreasonably disturb the community, the neighborhood, or ordinary individual or normal sensitivities at the property line. Please let me know if you need any further assistance. Sincerely, Cindy. I met with Peter earlier this week where we discussed social media and some comments that I had received, the 6 that I mentioned earlier, phone calls about government overreach. And I asked him to just do a little bit of research via part of that letter today, just so we could read that, just another added benefit to why this is going to, why it's going to work. But on top of that, why it's important that we have it. So again, I know I'm beating a dead horse here. This isn't about government overreach. This is about having an extra tool so we can support the citizens that complain on a regular basis. Any other councilor comments? Also cool.
Not having a social media account, I've been not aware of the comments that have been being made, but I was approached by one of our constituents, residents here in Millinocket, of us wanting to turn Millinocket into an HOA. To which I said, I just want to strengthen a community. I want to look out for the safety and welfare of everyone around. It's a much different town than what I grew up in. And I know that we're not going to go back to the 70s and the 80s. But what I miss about that time is the sense of community that we had and the sense of safety that I have for children that were just able to walk and wander freely, which just simply doesn't exist anymore. So if this is a step in that direction in letting us enforce this would be great, in my opinion. So.
Any other council comments?
I do, I do think that it's important to note that the ordinance leaves room for officer discretion. So it is a case by case basis on how this works and for situational awareness. And it's written well so that we can base it on, it's not an overarching, just one single, this is how it's going to work.
Right. Any other council comments? Council Pelletier?
Yeah. Taking off on, Councilor Onions, comment.
Louis, can you? Your mic, it's on, just pick it up.
Speak into it. Okay. Can you hear me now? Yeah, taking off on those comments, when I read this, I was really pleased with it. Especially it gives ample time for corrective actions by the person being talked to, you know. You can get multiple chances, then the fines hit. So it's not as if you're being blindsided. Totally agree with it.
Any other council comments? Seeing none, we will go down to the public. Name and address, please.
Aaron McCluskey, previously 216 Mole Park at 15 Church Street. Because of a residence that we've complained about for 2 years now, and we actually had to move. That's how bad it was. My fiance couldn't even come home from work, grocery shopping without being called names. We found sex toys under our vehicles. They paintballed their house since we've left. I could go on, but I'll just leave it at that. And I think this ordinance would be great for this town, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott Wishart, Tuckahoe. So you guys have put a lot of effort into this ordinance, and I just wanted to throw it out there that maybe you could add vacant homes to this ordinance. And
Actually, yeah, I'd love to talk about that. So
Yeah.
the manager has done a phenomenal job. We've torn down how many delinquent properties in the last 4 or 5?
4 in the past 12 months.
4 in the past 12 months. So we are making an effort.
Okay,
That is
you know-
definitely in our sight.
but Tom's gonna go around, like I'm gonna be going to see him to get one of these applications myself for a property that I just acquired. And he's already doing all this work. You got buildings like that one right over there out the window. Incorporated into this same thing. These people that have these vacant buildings that nobody wants to look at that, just like they don't want to listen to somebody who's disorderly.
Couldn't agree more.
Just an idea, then start tearing these places down.
We are actively working on it, I promise. We got actually one in the pipeline we're going to be talking about soon. So
So if I could just jump on that for a second there, so that doesn't, I think it's a great idea and a great topic. But there are other, federal laws that we have been actively pursuing, for those properties. They generally take 2.5, 3 years to work through. So, that was one of the things that I started doing, day one. I just had my 4th anniversary with the town. And a little over a year ago, we started to see that final success. So we got Jim's dry cleaning down. We got Midway, House on Midway Road, so that it is a lengthy process, but and we have, I think, 3 others in the pipeline right now. So I promise we're working on it.
Add it as part of the verbiage.
Yeah. Well, and between now and the second special hearing, when we can actually provide, potential amendments to this document, I'm happy to reach back out to the attorney and see if there's a way that can be included in this. There's no reason not to check it out.
great comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Nancy Terrio, 484 Poplar Street. I also wanted to say pretty much the same thing he said about the vacant properties. And I've actually had, as a real estate agent, I've had calls from property owners that live out of state, want you to go look at their properties, and you go in there and they're totally demolished. And someone's been living in there and has destroyed it. Or there's animals that have been in there, places where there's tons of cats, the raccoons. So any effort that can be done to clean that up, to me, that is a real disorderly problem. And especially if you have vagrant people that are just going in and you don't know what they're doing in there, that also is a concern. So otherwise, everything else on here, the only other concern that I saw that I had was when you do have rental properties and the owner of those rental properties is not here and it's a disorderly property, I didn't see that real clear in here of exactly how that's going to be handled, because I think there is some of that going on too.
Tom or Brad, do you want to answer that question?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess it's gonna be Tom.
Basically, the problem with these vacant homes that are owned by somebody out of state, we don't have anything on, it's some corporation. And you can dig and dig and dig to try to find an owner that you can actually contact. I've got one right now that I've been working on for 6 months, and I still haven't come to anybody that owns this property. It's a shell company after a shell company after a shell company. Why? You know,
But they pay their
as
tax.
Wishaw said, a vacant building theme is something we need to look at. I don't think it goes into this one, but I think it is something that we need to look at.
That's a cool take.
City of Bangor just did that. If you're in Bangor, they did commercial and residential, but especially with commercial.
Mhm.
That either you do something with it or something's gonna happen because the city is not gonna put up with it. And I think that's where we're getting to. That's what I hear constantly from our residents. And I know you do as well. Thank you.
Officer Fitzgerald, did you have anything to add?
Obviously not so much about the vacant properties, but as far as the disorderly property, when I think that, when the question was asked is like if it was a rental property or something like that, our course of action would be to work with the town, and whoever is the registered property owner or taxpayer of that property, it could be the one responsible. Obviously, when we start dealing with tenants and things like that, it's going to, murky the waters a little bit. But as one of the counselors mentioned, that's where we're going to have to use some discretion with these, because, if the building owner is, let's say someone that lives out of state and they, rent to a bunch of tenants, it's pretty hard for them to maybe control all their actions. But I think it's going to be important for these property owners that just rent and they don't really live around here, that they do have an understanding of this ordinance, because ultimately at the end of the day, they could have some sort of responsibility in this as well. But, we would work with the town and code enforcement to make sure that we're contacting the correct people to try and remediate the issue. And it's not just going to be, and I think it is very, very important that people understand this is going to be discretion based, and there is this window of opportunity as far as people have to make this corrective action. So it's not just a one and done thing. We want to work with people on this, but we all strive for the same thing. I think everyone is looking for is some more options to make the community better.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any other public?
Brandon, just for a little clarity there, in section 51-8 A, when it talks about the notifications for disorderly events, A and B are both, a first notification and then a second or first event and a second event. It does specify that, at the earliest possible time, but within not more than 7 days, of the disorderly event, the officer shall notify the owner of the property. So, clearly if say it's a rental property, that may not help in some of those other vacant things, but if it's a rental property, owned by someone who lives out of state, obviously the person who lives there is having the interaction with the police officer. And then it is required that the police officer inform the property owner, whose information we would have in our, operating software, our tax rolls. So we would have ways to contact them. And then it does later specify that the attempt via certified mail shall constitute for sufficient notification to the property owner to then, if need be, to then be tried through the civil penalty option towards the end.
Thank you.
If that helps.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, any other councilors want to go one more time before close it out? All right, the time is 6:37 PM. We are now exiting our first public hearing. Moving on, Councilor Danforth, can I have you read order number 3-2026?
I
Nope.
was gonna say
Order number 1, my bad. I have mine out of
Yes,
order.
that's right. Yes, Mr. Chairman, order number 1-2026, providing for execution of the town warrant for December 22nd, 2025. It is ordered that the town warrant for December 22nd, 2025, in the amount of $323,393.90 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Danforth, seconded by Councilor Wallen. Any hitters?
Yeah, I'll show you the heavy hitters. 10,000. Kevin Boynton, he does work at the airport, vegetation management, some bush hogging about once a year. $27,093.88 Toil Tanner and Associates. That's our airport project. $37,500 Millinocket Memorial Library, and that's our contract for agreement payment to them. The biggest amount on here, $212,218.50 Town of East Millinocket, and that's our police services contract. And lastly, $13,419.94 Percent Power.
Any other council comments? Seeing none, down to the public? Seeing none, all those in favor of order number 1-2026? It's unanimous. Councilor Danforth, can I have you read order number 2?
Order number 2-2026, providing for execution of the wastewater warrant for December 22nd, 2025. It is ordered that the wastewater warrant for December 22nd, 2025, in the amount of $20,192.10 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Danforth, seconded by Councilor McWallen again. Heavy hitters.
Work on one. $12,000, $12,500, Town of Millinocket.
Awesome. All right. Any other council comment? Seeing none, down to the public. Seeing none, all those in favor of order number 2-2026? It's unanimous. Councilor Danforth, can I have you read order number 3-2026?
2026, providing for execution of the town warrant for January 8th, 2026. It is ordered that the town warrant for January 8th, 2026, in the amount of $121,425.99 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Danforth, seconded by Councilor McWallen again. Heavy hitters.
Yeah, I'll start with Dead River, $8,986.21. That's for propane and diesel. $7,505.79. Elon Financial, that's our credit card. $42,358.57. That's our main water company, our hydrant. $8,706.97. Municipal waste solution. Tip fees. I'll go down to $33,552. And that, there was a correction made, that is Northern Timber Crew, there's not wind lines. do that.
Thank you for,
Yeah.
Yeah,
our,
yeah.
Treasurer provided that explanation.
any other council comments? Seeing none, down to the public. Seeing none, all those in favor of order number 3-2026? It's unanimous. One more time, Councilor Danforth, can I have you read order number 4?
4-2026, providing for execution of the wastewater warrant for January 8th, 2026. It is ordered that the wastewater warrant for January 8th, 2026 in the amount of $3,181.71 hereby approved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Danforth, seconded by Councilor Wallen. Have you heard?
Like,
All right. Any other councilor comments? All right, seeing none, down to the public. Seeing none, all those in favor of order number 4-2026? Unanimous. Councilor McWallen, can I have you read order number 5?
Oh, thanks. I was hoping I wouldn't get.
My bad.
Oh, no, that's the next one. Never mind. Providing for approval of an application for a malt, vinous, and spirituous liquor license for Hang Wong Chinese Restaurant. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the attached application for a malt, vinous, and spirituous liquor license for Hang Wong Yang. Am I supposed to say that? Hang Hong Yang Corporation, 973 Central Street, Millinocket, Maine, doing business as Hang Wong Chinese Restaurant, business address 973 Central Street, Millinocket.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor McWallen, seconded by Councilor Pelletier. Councilor comments? Seeing none, down to the public. Did great. Seeing none, all those in favor of order number 5-2026? Unanimous. Councilor Runyon, can I have you read order number 6?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. Order number 6-2026, providing approval for an application for an entertainment license for Hang Wong Chinese Restaurant. It is ordered that the attached application for an entertainment license is hereby approved for Hang Hong Yang Corporation, Dang Zhu Yang, 27 Pomola Park, Millinocket, Maine, doing business as Hang Wong Chinese Restaurant, business address 973 Central Street, Millinocket.
You did great.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Runyon, seconded by Councilor McWallen. Any councilor comments? Seeing none, down to the public. Seeing none, all those in favor of order number 6-2026? Unanimous. Councilor Poole, can I have you read order number 7?
Order 7-2026, providing for approval of application of malt vinous spirituous liquor license for Elks Lodge BPOE number 1521. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the attached application for malt vinous and spirituous liquor license is hereby approved for BPOE of Millinocket, 213 Aroostook Avenue, Millinocket, doing business as Elks Lodge number 1521, business address 213 Aroostook Avenue, Millinocket.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Gould, seconded by Councilor Runyon. Any council comments? Seeing none, down to the public. Seeing none, all those in favor of order number 7-2026? Unanimous. Councilor Pelletier, can I have you read order number 8?
Certainly. Order number 8-2026, providing for approval of an application for an entertainment license for Millinocket Elk. It is ordered that the attached application for an entertainment license is hereby approved for BPOE of Millinocket, 213 Aroostook Avenue, Millinocket, Maine, doing business at Elk Lodge number 1521, business address 213 Aroostook Ave, Millinocket.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Pelletier, seconded by Councilor McWallen. Any councilor comments? Seeing none, down to the public. Seeing none, all those in favor of order number 8? Unanimous. Councilor McWallen, can I have you read order number 9, please?
Certainly. Order number 9-2026, providing for approval of an application for malt, vinous, and spirituous liquor license for Scudic Inn. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the attached application for a malt, vinous, and spirituous liquor license is hereby approved for the Scudic Inn Incorporated, 70 Penobscot Avenue, Millinocket, Maine, doing business as Scudic Inn Restaurant, business address 70 Penobscot Avenue, Millinocket. Second.
Motion made by Councilor McWallen, seconded by Councilor Danforth. Any councilor comments? Seeing none, down to the public. Seeing none, all those in favor of order number 9-2026? Unanimous. Council Runyon, can I have you read order number 10?
Indeed. Order number 10-2026, providing for application of an providing for approval of an application for entertainment license for Scudic Inn Restaurant. It is ordered that the attached application for an entertainment license is hereby approved for Scudic Inn Incorporated, 70 Penobscot Avenue, Millinocket, Maine, doing business as Scudic Inn Restaurant, business address of 70 Penobscot Avenue, Millinocket.
Second.
Motion made by Council Runyon, seconded by Councilor Gould. Any council comments? Seeing none, down to the public. Seeing none, all back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, moving on to reports and communications. Next meeting will be January 22nd, 2026. For warrant committee will be Councilor Gould and Councilor Mackin. All set on that one? Yep. Okay, perfect. Chair committee reports.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I do have an age-friendly meeting this Tuesday at the library. And next time, my next report is going to be a little bit more robust because we did submit our 3-year action plan progress report, but good report back and a nice plaque that we need to present to the council. So stay tuned. I'll hold off till next meeting.
Very good. Before we go to 2-minute public comment, just wanted to give an update. So I have determined the counselors that will sit on committees I call them miniature committees, that will work or action. Task force, that's the word. Brain escaped me. So Fire and EMS will remain Councilor Danforth and myself. Our next meeting is next week, right? Next week, Wednesday. Infrastructure project is going to be Councilor Pelletier and Councilor Runyon.
Okay.
The school is going to be Councilor McGuallen and Councilor Danforth. Missing one. Code is going to be myself and Councilor Gould. And then the recreation department, I am actively working on trying to establish that. We're sent an email requesting potentially a meeting between Millinocket and East Millinocket. I plan on reaching out to the chairperson of the select board of East Millinocket to discuss further options. So hopefully we will have a regionalized board soon if we can all come to an agreement, which will be really nice.
That's very lovely.
So more to come on that one. 2-minute public comment. Seeing none. Oh, Mr. Manager, look at that.
Sorry, I just wanted to share with you all because you're all in the same place. The fire chief gave me copy of the new Allegiant, fire and EMS calendar, and it's all the different apparatus and fire trucks and ambulances and stuff that they sell. And I forget which month it is, but the town of Millinocket lettered new fire truck that we bought last year is featured in that calendar. It's pretty cool. It's sitting on my table down. Very good. Down in my office. So
you bringing that up,
I think it's pretty cool.
Came back to me. I spoke to a citizen and I said that I would mention it during the 2-minute public comment tonight. I had one via email that I responded to last night with a request on how citizens can be more involved or stay more informed with town politics and things that are going on. And I feel like we've kind of beat this horse several times, but I'm going to do it again. So on top of moving the meetings to later in the day to have more participation from the public, example, working class, our meetings used to be around 4:30 before we moved them to 5:30 4 or 5 years ago. On top of that, we have Magic City Monthly, where you can read reports from the CID and the manager. All of these meetings are recorded. They're posted on YouTube. Mr. Brown has done a fantastic job of capturing some big ticket items that he's put in the paper. And then, of course, all of our cell phone numbers and emails are listed on the website. So you're more than welcome to call any of us. I have an open door policy. If I don't answer you right away or I'm out of cell phone reception, I tend to call you back within 48 hours. That's what we're here for. We're here to keep you guys informed. So please, if you want information, instead of immediately jumping to social media to find out what the latest gossip is, because 9 times out of 10 it's wrong, call your local councilors that you elected.
Chair, if I may.
Yes.
The town does have a communications sign up listing via texting and also email. So encourage anybody who wants to be involved whether it's good morning from the town of Millinocket message to when your taxes are due, when your dog registrations are coming up. All those items will be available via that messaging service.
So
And they can sign up on that at millinocket.org. Do the departments drop down and click on community initiatives and boom, sign right up. Or give me a buzz.
I was gonna say that
I'll get you signed up myself.
the manager has had a very fantastic open door policy as well, but
Yes.
again, we're elected by you guys. And if there's information that's needed, I would hope that you would want to call on one of us for information. So please, I would ask that you start utilizing those lines of communication a little bit more. When I started 5 years ago as a counselor for the first time, the only thing we were doing was Zoom and it wasn't even recorded. So just want to say, I think we've done a fantastic job with the manager opening up lines of communication. So please utilize them. They're all underutilized, especially picking up the phone and calling one of us. So please, with that, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor McGuan, seconded by Councilor Danforth. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Have a wonderful night, everyone.
Thank
The
you.
time is 6:51.
You're ready, huh?